Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 35 of the Glory Days podcast. We are back here. Guess what? The A-League season's done, but the pain and suffering never ends because Perth Glory Football Club is the gift that keeps on giving, and we are the messengers for all of this pain and suffering.
Huge.
We've just won a game, boys. Can we be positive?
Well, you know what? You know what? We win the game in the most painful way possible, but we're gonna continue with the positive vibes.
I enjoyed
because
it.
Finally, the Glory have won a game. And to be fair,
What do you mean finally?
James, I'm gonna lose my shit if you keep interrupting me.
What do you mean finally, guys?
We have won a game, and to be fair, I think relatively convincingly in terms of the way we played. Not the scoreline at all, because for those of you that haven't seen, the Glory have advanced to the next round of the Australia Cup after beating the Central Coast Mariners 3-2 away in Darwin. Went 2-0 down, managed to rebound it to 2-2, and managed to get a win in extra time. But we'll be discussing everything that went on in that game today, including...
Managed to rebound it to 2-2. I've never heard anyone use that.
Well, that's just the Alex Host-isms. Brilliant.
We'll be discussing everything from that Australia Cup fixture, as well as some
rumours.
Well, some transfer rumours and some confirmed, I guess, dealings that have gone on. Lots actually going on around the
Sturridge.
Lots actually going on around the A-League in general, but we're going to try and keep it more Perth Glory based because we are a Perth Glory based channel.
I would like to touch on the two very major things happening.
I'm sure
in the
you'd like to
A-League.
touch on it.
Speaking of which, fan comments, let's touch on them.
Whoa. Whoa. All
So
right.
we'll get to the fan comments as we usually do, following Perth Glory's 3-2.
Don't touch me.
3-2 win in the qualifier.
Right.
We seem to be... Darwin should be our second home. You know, if HBF Park doesn't work, we might just play home games there.
Respect it for the fact that we win games. Don't respect it for the fact that it is
Okay,
a
so,
shithole.
Muller, we are the best of the worst.
Thomas?
We are the best of the worst. Lachlan, better team even in the first half when we were 2-0 down. Central Coast got very lucky with an own goal and pen. Our final ball has to be better. Fullbacks killing it, overlapping, but crosses going out for goal. Kicks aren't good enough. Also providing a bit over the past couple of games. Not to mention Amos just controlling the game. Good to see Booger on the score sheet. And we actually look half decent building up. We aren't just going Majek back to Murchler, back to Sale and booted up the pitch just to lose the ball. On hunger strike until Luke Amos contract extension. 2 wins in a row. We may never lose again. And Ethan, good win considering the conditions. Mariners walking around out there helped, but we ran out the match well. Even Amos did 120 minutes. Misao, Amos, Bulgaria, Osler impressed me. If Sale leaves, a good match and a crucial save would be a nice last contribution.
Yeah, he's not leaving, but it's...
Well, it's...
He's not, but like...
Yeah, why in all seriousness, why would he?
It would be
all seriousness.
It would be a nice way to leave. Unfortunately,
there is not a way that he is leaving.
Again,
at all.
he's so fucking bipolar with his performances. Like 1 minute he can be like Buffon, and then the next minute he can be like
Ollie, I love
the Dragon.
I love you, Ollie, but like, can you stop going from 10 out of 10 to 2 out of 10 to 10 out of 10 to 2? Just a consistent 7 every game.
Actually,
Even a 6
would be
Actually,
nice.
Speaking of Buffon, you know, AC Milan legend Buffon is.
You're so jarring, bro.
Coming
so
to Perth.
jarring.
How cool's that, guys?
You're so jarring, man.
What a legend
I
of
can't
Italian
wa-
football,
I can't-
especially in Milan.
I
What a
can't
guy!
wait to see Everton get relegated, bro. I can't wait for it. I can't wait.
You're gonna be waiting a long time for that, pal.
No, I won't.
Yes, you will.
No, I won't.
City going down, no trophies. Whoa.
Piss off. You know, I can't wait. I can't wait for you guys to have some bomber striker like Chuba Akpom up top.
Where's De Bruyne? Where's De Bruyne? Where's Kevin De Bruyne gone?
Yeah. So,
Nice trophy.
may as well touch on the starting lineups.
We have more than you.
Cap.
We may as well get on the starting lineups because there wasn't any change, and it was the last opportunity to see,
United. Yeah.
Hey, we might lose our own final.
You are.
Yes, but it was our last opportunity to see the likes of Jalen Puman don the famous purple, since he was officially confirmed today to have left the club.
And
this
he
time
posted a very sad Instagram post.
Well, I
and,
think Stan released him this time knowing that he's going to go to QPR rather
Yeah, I
than
reckon.
accidentally releasing him
Yeah.
this time last year.
Imagine. Oh, how. Can I just say? Can I just say how peak A League would it be, right? If this was the way that they were planning to announce a new Jalen Pittman contract extension.
no.
Shit, sorry, all these rumors and shit that were completely fabricated by Stan. Just drops the media release an hour later. Oh shit, sorry, my mistake. We've actually signed Jalen Pittman on a 3-year deal.
He's going to the Mariners.
Wait, oh no, God forbid. God forbid.
So what did we think of the lineup? So obviously with no changes with Risdon and Pennington and Wales being out due to injury. We had the Oli Sale and goal, back four of Okamoto, Murchula, Majakadunmi, Misau, midfield four of Miliusnic, Amos, Freeney and Osler, and then a front two of Taggart and Pearman. I think when I looked at the lineups between the two teams, I was like, we've got to be steamrolling the Mariners. I think they had an average age of they had an average age of just under 22, and I think ours was about 27 or something like that. So what did we think of the lineup? Were we fairly happy with it, given it was unchanged?
It was the best we could have.
Sorry.
It was the best we had available. You know, I think you could argue those 3 injuries are 3 first-team players. You could argue at least 2 of them for sure.
You don't have to argue it, bro.
There is some debate to be had, but and we're not going to have it right now, are we? No, okay.
No,
okay, good.
You know.
Yeah, I think it was the best we could have offered, and genuinely, I think when I saw we were 2-0 down, obviously watching the game after the second goal went in, obviously, look. Don't look. Okay. We will get into it later, obviously. I'm getting too far ahead of myself because we'll talk about the goals we conceded.
Yep.
You know what? Fine. Lineup was good. That's it. We'll get into that.
Alex, thoughts on the lineup?
Yeah.
It's as good as we could have got. To be honest, it was the Oz Cup, and I just didn't really care about this game at all.
I really did.
By all means, I want to have a great Oz Cup run, but at the same time,
You were just done?
I was just like, an Oz Cup run is nice, right?
Yeah.
But given how complicated things got with our preseason because of our previous extended cup run, and how we missed out on the preseason tour to Asia,
But
allegedly, according to Stan Lazarus.
No, we were going to go to India, the same thing that Brisbane Roar went on. But even that tour looked fairly ordinary. It looked fairly ordinary in terms of the pitches that they were playing on and the opposition that they were playing against, and it didn't really do Brisbane Roar's.
I was going to say, look how well they did this season.
Yeah.
No, but
miles
like,
better.
Yeah.
but there was a lot of kerfuffle, should I say, around the club. Because of the
And then we
extended
lost
run.
3-2 to Morton. So like,
Yeah,
we've only got ourselves
yeah.
to blame, really, don't
Yeah,
we?
no, I agree.
But we need to have a good Oz Cup run, I think, because we can't bitch about not having quality preseason games and then getting knocked out in the qualifiers. Because
And I personally want to win it
I want to win it as well, but I'm
for Asian football.
more.
that's true. Yeah.
But here's the thing, right? I almost feel like the Asian Cup in preseason maybe complicates your regular proceedings in preseason because it's a lot of travelling for one, but it is against high quality opposition.
Because we would rather that or play NPL opposition.
Well, I would rather neither.
You're gonna do
in
both anyway.
an ideal world, after the Milan game, you ideally go to Asia and have something there, but I don't think that's going to be possible, unfortunately.
Why's that?
Obviously. Well, I just don't think that the club is at a point right now where they can realistically look to throw money at doing an Asian tour.
But they could do like Dubai.
I wouldn't mind
There's
Dubai.
like connections.
Stan
and
has
stuff
his connections in
Dubai.
Dubai. He also
they're
has.
third tier.
Look. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter that they're third tier. You do it in Dubai. You can bring over Catania. You can bring over all the clubs in the racing.
Do like a round robin or something.
All the clubs in the racing group.
Yeah.
No reason you can't do it.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
look, if you have something like that organised with top quality opposition, absolutely, I would probably prefer that over an Oz Cup run. But
No.
I don't think that is going to happen. So the Oz Cup run, I'm very excited for next season when we get in the new set of players. With this current set and after the season, I'll be honest, I wanted to win, but I just...
Yeah, but by the time we get into the round of 32 or whatever it is that we're now in, because we beat the Mariners, we should have some new signings.
No, that's what I'm saying, is that now Now that
We
we've
will
beaten
have
the
them
Mariners,
in.
I'm excited to see our
Oh,
new
yeah, so that's why I
signings.
really wanted to win
Yeah.
this one. Otherwise,
Exactly.
you weren't going to be able to see it.
who are we realistically going to be seeing though? Because it's common knowledge
Our new
that
players, James.
no, as in like, well, no shit, Sherlock, but as in like we know fairly comfortably that at least 3 signings have been done, 100% in terms of the 2 Wellington boys and Sutton and Wootton.
I'm not saying it's 100% until I see them on the field, bro.
Oh, Jesus,
I
mate.
can't
They're
even
fucking done.
Listen, I'm sorry. I can't even take the club announcing them as guarantee anymore.
And
remember back to Naboo and at Atkinson.
Yeah, but that was COVID.
Must
That doesn't matter. That
No,
doesn't
it does
matter.
matter. It was
no,
so
it doesn't.
different.
Oh, the club announced it as done, and then they're like, "Oh, actually."
Yeah, because of new rules and stuff that the government put in. They didn't know that was going to happen.
But, so I don't know.
So we've got Sutton, Wooten, and Timmins, yeah? So those are the 3
and probably
confirmed.
Birigidi.
Yeah, he doesn't count. So,
Right.
so we've got 3. No offense, Mark.
I love the switch up on Birigidi, but
because
like 2 months ago,
he's not going to play.
No,
Over
but
Ollie.
We
but
don't
like
know.
2
We
months
don't know.
ago, we were all feeding like, get Birigidi, get Birigidi.
We were.
And then we watched some of his
No,
recent
no.
NPL performances.
That's not
like,
why.
no,
I'm not
no.
saying it because of that. I'm saying it because if Ollie is staying, which he almost certainly is,
He is the number 1.
it doesn't matter that Mark's coming in. I mean, he might come in and play Oz Cup, but in terms of the actual season and what to expect as our strongest lineup, Mark being here probably doesn't matter because Ollie's going to put it. So it's like it's cool. We've got a backup keeper, whatever. Like let's move on. Like it doesn't really. Unless he comes in and shows everyone why he's Mark Birigidi and why he got that move to Swansea all those years ago.
Just shows his birth certificate.
Yeah, okay, sure. But
yes,
you know what I
this is
mean?
why
In
I'm
terms
Mark
of the
Birigidi.
context of how we're
Yeah.
going to improve, Mark Birigidi is not moving that needle much. It's more about the outfield players such as Wooten, Sutton and Timmins.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
So when we get those announcements in with the next couple of weeks, which I'd imagine we will get them by the end of May, hopefully.
We should be, yeah.
I would hope that means they'll be straight into action in terms of the preseason friendlies we do play.
Well, we won't. I don't think preseason. I don't think starts until July 1.
Oh, for sure. So,
yeah.
like,
So there's
announcing
still-
them in May is
Yeah.
enough time for them to be ready for July.
But in terms of back to the game, though, I think this was definitely one that I think both sets of players would have found tough. I mean,
The conditions were.
the conditions just looked shit, and it just looked like it was a slog.
I just don't know
It's
why
in
you do it in
Darwin.
Darwin.
I know
With
that.
those conditions, like it's going to be bad.
I
Why would
understand-
you do it there?
I understand the whole thing of they want to grow the game there.
Is
But
Darwin?
at the same time,
It's just not feasible.
no.
Why can't we do it in Canberra?
That's the
what we
thing.
should
Why
do.
aren't you doing it in Canberra? Why aren't you doing it in the Gold Coast? Like, why are you doing it in Darwin?
Even, what about Tassie? Tassie's got a
Tassie, yeah.
Like there's so many other
you could do
places
you could do
it.
you could do Tasmania, you could do
Are
Gold
they-
Coast.
Is it a contract that they've got to go to Darwin or something?
There
or-
might
It might be, but
like,
at the same
you could
time, why are
offer-
you even bothering setting up a
Yeah.
contract with Darwin? Are you going to set up a team there?
You could offer a contract to Canberra and anyone else, and they would definitely take it because they really like the football. They even Coffs Harbour.
Yeah.
Canberra's the nation's
love-
capital and have been crying out for help
Yeah.
to get an A-League license.
Yeah.
Gold Coast is a good enough market to come
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
into the A-League.
Yeah.
And then you've got Tasmania, which as the A-League should have been moving into Tasmania 3-4 years ago before the AFL even thought about going there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they've missed the opportunity.
Yeah.
So now they're with Darwin. Why are they even bothering with
I don't
Darwin?
know.
No
I-
one is ever
I
going to
got-
give a shit about football in Darwin.
But I
no
think
one's ever going to give a shit.
But at least for our part though, on the first half, I thought we looked good. I thought we controlled the ball
Yeah,
well.
I agree.
I thought despite the Mariners starting somewhat brightly, I felt that we were far more. The irony is right. Game 1 of the season, we look. There was obviously the underdone thing from Zrilla. Yet in this game, we looked like we drunk like fucking 10 cans of Red Bull pre-game. We looked far. I mean, maybe Mariners were checked out mentally and physically.
Holy shit, we're getting Jamie Vardy.
Hey, that's a well signing.
Yay.
No,
He's
but
going
we
to
looked
Everton.
we looked good though. I thought again we looked like we were building on the last month that we had shown in terms of the performances and the results.
Yep.
And I think it was just we created some good chances. I mean there was a cross by Osler that was dealt with by Paul, but it was that far away probably from going on Adam Taggart's head. Then there was, I think, Okamoto. He had some nice link-up play down the right-hand side, and then he managed to cut in on his left foot, but then he just skewed the shot wide. But you just got the feeling that, we were slowly building and getting a good rhythm. Just unfortunate that with the own goal from Majex that it happened how it did.
Yeah.
And typical Bloody Glory, conceding in that way. I mean, we love Majex on the podcast, but it's like, you're wanting players to show why, especially young ones.
Yeah.
When you've got a good group of, I would say, guys that are coming through the academy right now,
Yep.
you'd probably want to show, and given Majex has played a fair amount of games,
Yep.
albeit not this season, why he should be looking to start more games, because there'll be Labib possibly staying, there'll be more or less Majex, possibly more to Curtis, and then Wooten.
Yep.
You're going to want to put on a good case as to why you should start games. And I just think he got his positioning and his action just totally wrong for that thing. Obviously a mistake, but I thought, just a comedy way to concede, unfortunately.
It's comedy way, it's the glory way, it's the similarities between this club and Everton, as the two teams I watch the most, are actually so similar. As in, we will dominate the first...
You support Everton?
You support City, lad. Be
Yeah,
quiet.
don't even chat to me, bruv.
You're closer to the fucking relegation zone than he is.
I know.
This is true. Hold that.
We're in the final, though, at least.
So it's like, when we play against opposition that we should beat, which is probably half the league,
Yeah.
we will hold the ball for 30 to 35 minutes. We'll have some pretty good chances that we didn't take.
Yeah.
And then we will concede in the worst, most comedic way possible.
Yeah.
Everton do that at least once a game.
Yeah.
They start the game very brightly. They don't convert on those few chances they get, which were really good, and then they concede, and then we lose. That's often the case for it's just. I don't know why I'm even saying it. It's just
It's standard procedure.
it is standard procedure, but it also, unfortunately, as it's been shown before we got David Moyes, it looks to be a management problem and a mentality problem, in that I think you've seen it throughout this season. I'm not saying Majex is obviously making a mistake is one thing, right?
Yeah.
But not having that ability and, I guess, mentality to make the most of your dominance and not put yourself ahead early and put yourself in a comfortable position
Yeah.
is a testament to, I think, the entire season we've had when we have had bright starts. But it just seems to be some kind of problem in terms of whether it's the players not executing the manager's ideas or the manager's ideas not being up to par with the quality he's got. I don't know which one it is.
We've been conceding comedy goals since even last season though, like with
yeah,
Stage.
for
That's the
sure.
thing. So
Yeah.
I think it's beyond at least a managerial problem.
It could be mentality, because you see Spurs, no matter who they get in,
Yeah.
they're always garbage, except for the Europa, but they're 16th in the league.
Yeah.
No matter, even with Jose, they got to a final, but they still struggled in the league. You know.
I think it's just scripted, bro.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to describe it other than the fact it might possibly just be a club mentality thing. Like, even if you go to the footy and you look at the Eagles, they've got a decent enough list to compete in games.
Yeah.
And no matter who they've got in charge, it just doesn't seem to translate on the field, because it just seems to be that the club culture in itself is taking so much of a dive.
It's going to take a while to build it back up.
Exactly. It doesn't matter who's in charge. It depends. It's a confusing one. It feels like the Glory have had that for the past few years, no matter who's in charge.
Yeah.
It seems to be a bit of a mentality problem.
Any thoughts on the Majex own goal,
Yeah.
Alex?
Shit happens.
Just
You know
shit
what I mean? Like,
Me over here. It's a mentality.
I mean,
shit happens.
like, there's not much you can say on it.
No,
It's
it's
like, I agree wholeheartedly with the whole mentality problem. Like, I think it's been self-evident that
Yeah.
there's a serious mentality.
There's
issue with
there's
the
a
squad.
few chinks in the armor at least.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like you really need. Unfortunately, when you get chinks in the armor, you really need. Can I help you?
Sorry.
Okay.
Just-
Like a very forceful sledgehammer to bang them out, because that's the only way you're going to fix it, and that's going to take time, but it's also going to take doing it the proper way. Otherwise, it's going to ruin the armor, which
yeah.
meaning you would ruin the mentality, and you've lost the team.
Well,
That's very insightful.
and it was
Thanks,
almost
buddy.
almost like Back to the Future, and the fact that we conceded almost straight after
Yep.
with freaking Alu Qual. I did take some notes on this.
Love him on the team, by the way.
I personally would not.
Okay, I
Sure
like
thing.
Alan Qual.
Majex,
thing, buddy.
Majex, he came out to pressure Qual, but he allowed Qual to be able to spin away. I think he got too tight too early. And then if you watch the replay back, when Qual gets past Majex, Merchler then does the right thing to step out and cover.
Yep.
But he instinctively thinks that Qual is going to shoot early, and it's a small thing, but he takes a step to his right.
Okay.
And then Qual being nimble is able to shift it onto his right foot, and then because Murchel has already sold himself, it's not much. It's not like a noticeable lunge, but it was still there. And then that was where Qual was able to get that separation.
Yeah,
and because he did it quite quickly, then he was able to bend it around Ollie Sail. And I just think, we need to be next season, whoever is our starting centre back pair or our back four in general, we've just got to be far more disciplined and organised and just better with how we deal with those situations.
I know the thing you're talking about. When I watched the goal back, I was like, okay, it's not Tommy's fault.
No.
So there is no.
It's not purely one or the other. It's just a fuck up of not dealing with the situation better.
I also personally think Tommy did the right thing, and he couldn't have done any better, because if you study Qual and what he does like to do, he is known for possibly shooting a bit earlier than he probably should. He likes to take his, just boot it as hard as he can, and he's not known for trying to skill his way into the goal. He does love just to hit it and see what happens.
But he's agile. That's the thing.
Yeah, he's very agile.
Yeah.
But if Majex doesn't get lost that quickly, and then Tommy doesn't have to step over, and then he doesn't get through.
It's a domino effect. Yeah.
So it's a domino effect in that, once again, unfortunately for Majex, he's the one that started the domino effect in us conceding the second. And I don't know, and I don't necessarily blame him for it, because I don't know how you can expect someone who doesn't get that much game time. We were asking questions halfway through the season. Are you coming back? Literally, we were asking him after the game, are you going to play again?
Yeah.
And he didn't even know. And obviously, he got some decent playing time near the end of the season, but it just isn't fair on young prospect players to keep them out the loop on whether or not they're even going to be in the team anymore, and then just chuck them straight back in and assume that they'll just be able to, at the peak of their powers, just instantly. And I just feel for him, because he's getting put in these situations where he really shouldn't be, just expected to be peak. Because Pete Chekadumi is quite good when he's fully fit and when he's on the ball.
But we had this discussion last time though, because we couldn't really identify off the bat specifically what Majex had in terms of qualities that would separate him from other young centre backs as to why he should start.
Yeah,
and it's not to shit on Majex. It's just that, like we said, with guys like Labib or with Lizalewski, or with older guys like Murchler, you can pinpoint exactly what their difference point is. And I think with someone like Majex, it's like, well, two actions for those two goals, you can say that he had a role in not dealing with them as well as he could. Maybe you can say, well, if he had more game time, then maybe he would have known how to deal with those situations better.
I would argue that Majex is more like a well-rounded centre-back than the likes of Liz last.
Yeah, I was going to say
he's a big confidence player as well. You can just tell.
Confidence is a big thing. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Peak Majex for me.
Well, what does that look like?
Okay, for me, Peak Majex is he's quite good at everything, but he's not the best at anything. So he has quite
jack of all trades.
A jack of all trades type defender. Yeah. But the one thing he does have is he is a very big physical presence. He's got a lot of height on him. If that ball comes into the box, at the peak of his confidence, he will head that away.
He's heading in this game. He was just heading it like a balloon. I just think his confidence wasn't.
Yeah, that's the problem. And you just can't expect a player of his age and his experience to just instantly have confidence. You got dropped, and you didn't know when you were coming back, and you weren't injured. You were fully fit. Yeah. There were rumours about him going for a Sydney swap
or a Melbourne City
or a Melbourne, wherever it was. Poor kid has no idea what's going on. Then all of a sudden, he's in the starting 11. Kind of out of nowhere. And he's like, well, so am I just starting because they got no one else?
That was the rogue thing. One thing in particular I didn't like about Zurilla's management over the season, where he just throw players in cold.
Like, you can't do that, especially when you should know that Majex is such a confidence player. You can't treat the young confidence player as badly as they did in terms of communication, right? Because I'm not saying I don't want to take words from anyone's mouth here, but from what we understand, he had no idea whether or not he was going to play again, because he was in a suit and tie at every game, fully fit, fully healthy, just not even selected for the squad. And then one day he's back.
Tail and urine,
And I just wonder.
It's the same with Riley Warland as well. Remember
that's
that?
Out
of the squad for the entirety of pre-season and everything, and then just in the starting 11, 4 games. Never seen again.
And then there was the Will Franey, where he made his debut at left wing.
Yeah,
starting
in a position that he'd never played before.
Yeah, I just don't understand it, because, like, I can think of the peak Kalen is he was getting up for headers in the box and scoring goals, but on the other hand, he was heading things away.
In the back end of the season under Stage, next to Latchman, there was definitely signs where he was looking
and he got
like
his confidence up.
You know what I think it is? I think Majex is a type of player that needs someone who's incredibly talented physically to make up for the fact that Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm going to say. When you look at Latchman, what do you think of? You think of a guy who's decent on the ball in terms of his dribbling.
Elite
He's
ball playing. Elite
very,
ball player.
very good at ball playing.
Yeah.
Good in terms of dribbling and keeping possession.
Good at
He's
FIFA.
quick.
Good at COD
He's
as well.
quick. He's
Yeah.
strong. Majex is there. He's essentially the second man in that partnership.
Yes.
Because he can just react to the game and he can just play his game.
Yep.
The pressure is relatively off of him. That's why I think he strives so well when he was alongside Latchman. But when you put him alongside someone like Murchler, yes, Murchler is experienced, but his legs are relatively gone. He's not the best ball playing centre back. He's not too comfortable in position. Everything.
Correct me
There's
if
a
I'm
lot to
wrong.
have to make up for.
Sorry for interrupting. Correct me if I'm wrong. Last season was Latchman more the player that would step out more so than Majex?
Yeah, he was.
Yes.
For
yeah.
sure.
So and I think Majex probably hasn't.
But even if Majex was the one to step out, you know that you've got a good physical presence
But
like
it's not-
Latchman who's quick enough to be able to get across and cover if you do make a mistake. He can't do
Yeah.
that with Murchler.
Yeah.
We saw it with the goal. Murchler is not quick enough to be able to get out and react. He's smart enough to get into a good position, but he's not quick.
if he gets done with his positioning, then it's a problem.
Yes.
he
Yeah.
doesn't have those catch up. And the other thing, I've been thinking about this a lot, but this is not just Majex. This is a lot of the young core that we had before Dave came in.
Yep.
And the way, obviously, we don't know the ins and outs of every single day, what it's like to train with the Glory. It's just what we can see,
Yeah.
such as players not being in the squad at all, and then the next week they're just in, not even on the bench. They're starting right with
Yep.
Franey, Majex,
Yep.
Warland. Yeah,
Yeah.
as some prime examples. You know, Majex has been around the starting 11 of the club for a good few years now. You know, he's been a good youth, whether it's in the NPL or he's been with the club in terms of Glory for quite a while.
Yeah.
It feels like at least 2023, I feel like, or 2022, around there.
It was 2023. It
Yeah.
was the back end towards the start of the Pelligra ownership deal.
Yeah, yeah. So he's...
Yeah, that's when he really made his A-League debut.
Yeah, so he's been about 2 years, right? Dave comes in after, to be fair, Majex had a very good end to the season under Stad. So, you know, his confidence is probably at a high at the end of the season because he's really finally found his niche. He's found what he's good at. He knows what to do on the ball.
Yeah.
We then go and sign Lockie Barr, right? And, you know, in Majek's mind, possibly at the time, I don't want to imagine what he's thinking.
We're just speculating.
We're just speculating, right?
Yeah.
Possibly in Majex's mind, he's like, well, okay, some competition for me, you know, because, you know, Latchman's now gone, so now he just needs some rotational. And then Lockie gets the start, and after, no offense to Lockie, he's extremely poor.
No,
first few
it wasn't
games.
that. It was that Majex started the first A-League game
At
out
right
of
back.
position.
At right back.
Yes.
When it
Yeah.
is well documented that he's not a great one-on-one
Yes.
defender.
We should've-
With Liz Alaski,
Yeah.
who's
Yeah.
also not a great one-on-one defender, starting at left back.
I know we're talking in hindsight here, but we should have kept at least one of Latchman and Beavers, given the fact that we didn't have the cash that we
I
thought we
miss
were going to have.
Beavers.
I think we should have kept possibly Latchman.
Yeah, I miss both of them.
I would have kept
Because
Latchman over
Beavers,
but I miss Beavers, man.
Beavers,
Bevo was
I think
great.
Beavers' knee
Could
was
you imagine a
cooked.
Beavers Murchler double centre back?
prime, though, obviously.
So slow,
I
but
know.
just
But
just
Bevo's
the most
personality was
Brexit
fantastic.
shit
I
you've
miss
ever
his
But we
seen.
should, but we probably should have
He had
had
a
that
lovely
just
smile.
to
He
add
did.
that leadership within the team. I think, and
For
just-
sure.
But again, we're talking now in hindsight. But I just think, yeah,
I don't know. I don't think you can expect to get the best from your young talent, which is apparently what our whole future is based upon.
I don't know.
But I know, I'm not saying that it actually is. It's just what we got told at the beginning of the
Initially,
season.
yeah.
Initially,
yeah.
and you can't just remove young core players from the squad for weeks upon weeks and then put them back in and expect them to be back where they were, like
Yeah.
Majex at the end of the season on the stage.
Just to touch on your really good point with the Lachlan Barr thing.
Yeah.
Of course, you bring in Barr, doesn't perform too well, whatever. Then you also have Kanga that comes in out of nowhere.
Can't speak a word of
Can't
English.
speak a word of English.
Yeah.
Is immediately unhappy at the club, wants to leave.
Yep.
Yet you still can't get in the squad.
Yeah.
Then you have Labib come in out of nowhere.
Yep.
Kills it.
Kills it, does
Yep.
great, whatever. Right?
And then you bring in Tommy.
yeah. Then things start to drop off. You bring in Tommy Murchler and Tas Mortakudis.
Yeah. It's just I feel for him, man,
Yeah.
because I don't.
And then you have Okamoto playing at centre back and Misao that got bought in.
Yeah.
Am I wrong in thinking that he might have had a bit of a knock, Majex, at some point in the season, or
To his confidence or to like
no, in
injury,
his injury? I feel
don't-
like he might have done for a little while.
I'm not sure. I just think that
I never heard anything about an injury.
I'm just speculating. I just think David probably wasn't really all that sold.
I did hear some things that I don't think we're allowed to repeat on the podcast, but I'll tell you guys later. But I never heard about an injury.
It just sucks for Majex. It really does.
It does.
I was so confident with him at the end of the last season that he would come into this season and he, if as long as he got the game time still and developed as a player, that he could turn into something really special, and then he just never got it.
This preseason will be a great chance for him to take his game to another level.
If he gets given it. That's my problem.
I think he will, because I think you've got Wooten more or less. I don't think we're going to sign another centre back aside from Wooten.
You've got to look at who's going to be leaving as well. Barr confirmed leaving. Masao and Okamoto most likely leaving with the visas coming in.
Yeah.
Wooten obviously coming in as well, sure. But then there's Tass. We don't know if he's going to stay. Merchela's probably gone, retiring. I'd probably say.
I actually don't think I think he's got one more year in him.
I think maybe he's got one more year in him, but I don't think ahead of Majax. No, I
think he'll stay on the bench.
Yeah, or in the reserve.
Well,
he'll be around the squad for leadership.
We'll get more to the squad side of things a little bit later. But we'll get back into the game. Second half.
shit. Remember when we
were talking about the game?
The game, yeah.
But I needed to say that.
Yeah, that's fair. Second half, I thought we looked much better. I thought with our attacks down the wings, whenever we could move it quickly and get it out to the likes of Miljusnic in space.
Yeah.
I thought we really killed the Mariners. I thought Amos and Freeney together, they formed a really good partnership. I thought, again, they bounced off each other incredibly well. Amos is a beast physically. He just killed the Mariners midfield, and we've lacked that physical presence for so long.
Please, Luke.
And
stay at the glory.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
We'll print out more of your cardboard faces.
Because there was a great chance.
Don't get that at Hibs.
There was a great chance that was made by Amos, because I think there was some sort of long ball, and then he pinned back his man, rolled over, and then immediately played Miljusnic in behind, and then he stuffed up the cross or the shot or whatever, but it just showed the presence of a player like Amos.
Oh my gosh, I just realised Miljusnic is still here.
I was going to say, he's so good when he has two functioning hamstrings.
He is
really
That's why we
good.
signed him, because we hoped we could.
Well, I don't know if he's going to be staying next season, but
we'll see.
He's really good when he has.
There
two
was
functioning
so the first goal involved Misal, Osler, and Amos, and I thought it was a good bit of build up by all three of them. There was a bit of a chaos ball slung in by Osler.
Yep.
Mariners dealt with it like shit, and then it deflects out to Miljusnic, who then heads it across, and then Pierman, quite creatively swings his left foot and is able to volley it into the bottom corner. And I just think, again, it was just a reward for our hard work and the fact that we were the better team. We were the better team, and we were creating better. We just lacked that ability to find that final action, which, for as much praise I have given the boys in the last few weeks, that still needs to be better, because we're not really we're not really creating enough higher value chances and being clinical in those moments. But it was good to see us work the ball really well down at left hand side and make something work with a bit of chaos ball. So any thoughts on Pierman's goal, or just shit happens?
Well, I just like, I don't think we would have scored that without Pierman's ability to pull out what he did with that goal. Like, obviously we deserved the goal, but I don't think anyone else on the team, maybe bar Taggart, is going to be able to put that one away, personally.
In that way.
Yeah,
so I agree.
It's a bit of individual brilliance at the end, which was good, but a good setup nonetheless.
Please don't go to the Mariners, Jalen. No, it was a great goal. Like, I don't know what more we can say about Jalen Pierman before it's just like glazing. You know what I mean?
Glazing's fine. It's Jalen Pierman.
It is Jalen Pierman, to be fair. 10 out of 10 best youth product we've ever had. But no, on a real fantastic finish on the volley.
Barca?
Eh?
What?
You said on a reel. I was like, what about Barca?
Fuck's sake.
If there's like one person that I really hope would just wake up with really bad kidney stones, man. Like,
whoa. Don't say that about James. That's really, really mean.
I was more talking about Josh because he's not fucking here.
Oh, okay.
So, no, but Pierman is a gun, bro. Like, he just has this weird ability to just score all sorts of fucking
What are you
goals.
doing?
He's doing the
I saw the Rock doing it once.
Yeah,
bro.
the Rock.
I'm Van Dyke with my aura defending.
That's right. Yeah. So you were
Jalen, do not go to the Mariners.
He's not gonna,
Don't do it.
You won't fucking go to the Mariners.
Well, if QPR buy the Mariners and then Jalen and Daniel Benny go to the Mariners, I'm going to be very upset with you.
No, no
chance. What do you mean they wouldn't?
No.
What do you mean they wouldn't?
Mate. Benny is getting consistent minutes off the bench for QPR. There's no way.
Off the bench.
Yeah, okay. But like,
he's got to start from somewhere, Alex. He's like, what, 19?
Yeah. And this is no attack on Benny, but in my opinion, from what we've been shown, Pearman is probably a better product than Benny
But they're
so
different
far.
profiles,
He is.
though.
They're different profiles, but I
Yeah.
can see Pearman being much more successful in England than Benny might be, purely because Pearman's got a lot more, I think,
But there's a lot of water
Technical-
to go under the bridge. In fairness, both could be equally as good as the other.
or as bad.
Yeah, well, hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully
Well,
that-
Well, let's hope it's not the second one. Let's hope
Yeah.
they're both equally as
No,
good.
I've been through Danny De Silva and all that.
Will.
So I'm
Will.
just saying,
Will.
I'm not putting any pressure on them. Whatever Jalen's career turns into,
Socceroos.
whatever Benny's career turns into, the fact that they made
We're
it
proud of you.
Shut up. Yeah, literally. You've made it as a professional footballer. You got those contracts. Well
Yep.
done. I don't expect you to be a world beater. Just give it your best shot, man.
Adam Taggart's goal was also a fairly good one as well. Again, Luke Amos involved in it. Did well to head the ball to Tags, and then Tags basically within a touch gets it off to Pearman, and then a quick ball out wide to Miliusnic, and then just a fantastic cross from Miliusnic to Taggart, who, again, great strike play, got in front of Caltech, and then they were saying on commentary, it's not often that Caltech is scratching his head or whatever, like someone beating him to it.
Commentary was ass.
They're so bad. I'm so sorry.
yeah. Someone said it was like listening to ASMR or something.
They're up there with the New Zealand
Yeah.
commentators for just being awful.
Just a bit more.
I love the New Zealand commentators.
No, but like the bias is so bad.
Yeah, but it's on
man.
Sky New Zealand. Of
Yeah,
course it's
but
going to
you
be
can't-
biased.
No, but like you can't be that.
And here comes
ugly
Costa
as well.
Barbarouses. Yeah. I love those guys.
Have
That's
you
so
seen Have you
cool.
seen the video of the Milan commentator? And the
Oh,
AC
yeah.
Milan
Goal.
Goal.
No, I personally love the Kiwi commentators. I think they're the best.
No, but it was again a good finish by Tags, and just can we get him some quality service
No.
next season?
No. What we're gonna do is we're gonna book him some quality service, as in express shipping to Sydney to get Joe Lolly. Apparently,
Well, let's touch on that later.
Miliusnic there instead?
Any thoughts on the Taggart goal, Will?
Bing.
This motherfucker.
What was that?
I don't know. I'm tired.
Oh,
I think I
dong.
think that Taggart is good, but I also think
Whoa!
that it was a very
Don't get too controversial.
It was actually.
yeah.
I think it would have been harder for him to miss than for him to score, purely because it is Adam Taggart.
Yeah.
But I think more credit goes to Miliusnic, because he was very influential in both those goals. And like Alex was saying, when he's fit, he's a very good player.
Yeah.
Fully
Fully fit.
Yeah, fully fit. So, Tags again, a finish you'd expect him to make, but it's still good for him to finally put it away, because it feels like sometimes with this team, no matter who's shooting, you're not really sure if it's going to go in or not, even if it's like a wide open tap in, and we've seen quite a few of those missed. But yeah, Mille with a good setup, which is really good.
It is really a shame that Miliusnic's hamstrings are made of like
Breadsticks. Yeah.
I don't even know, like polyester. But it really is a shame, because we would not be. I
Styrofoam.
genuinely do not think we would be having this problem with finding Tags a strike partner if Miliusnic was actually reliable.
A
in
strike
terms of his-
partner.
I think Miliusnic could actually. He's done it at Brisbane.
No, more so as in someone that could find Tags.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or
for sure
even someone that could
yeah.
assist with those late runs.
So
I
you
don't
mean a
think we'd be-
Kolakovsky type?
Well, we
I
sort of
think
need that
Miliusnic
player.
is better than Kolakovsky.
Whoa!
But as in
Come
profile.
on.
Profile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Similar profile. But
Okay,
I think
but I like
would have been
players who can
executed
run.
better.
Yeah.
Without hurting themselves, and Kolakovsky was pretty good. at
Yes,
Yeah.
that's why I'm saying it was a shame that Miliusnic could not stay fit.
that.
Will.
Yeah, well, you're bad. Go on, James. What have you got to say?
Well, I'll may as well move on to Bulgaria. He's someone that, pending what role he's
Booger.
I love the booger.
pending what role he has
Shut up.
next season, I'm intrigued to see what levels he can hit, because obviously when he first came to us, we were fairly excited based on what he had done in the NPL in New South Wales and what his potential was, and I think he's obviously taken his time this season to get going, but since probably the last month since he's come back from the under-20s, I think he's come back much sharper.
For sure.
Much more... I'm trying to find the right word here, but he's been able to...
Better.
Yeah, better, but just he's been able to get on the ball more and be impactful.
His
That'd be the big word.
his output is a lot larger. I think the one thing with him before came back from the under-20s, is that he would do a lot of things off the ball that you perhaps wouldn't show up too much on the stat sheet.
Yeah.
Wasn't the best player on the field, but he would still do the little things. Now we're starting to be able to see him do the bigger things. Actually getting on the stat sheets with assists and things.
Well,
like
that's the thing. You want people, especially those attacking players, whenever they get on the ball, you think they're going to do something. And Pearman was one of the rare examples where as soon as he came in, anytime he was on the ball, you thought something was going to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
And hopefully Bulgaria can be that guy next season, because he was unlucky not to score in the second minute of extra time.
Yeah,
because there was a good bit of work by Osler to cut the ball back to Bulgaria, and then fucking standard procedure, we spam it straight at the goalkeeper. And then you're right there, lad.
I'm just losing it. We're just going 20-20. Did you not hear that?
I heard something. I was like, "What the fuck?"
You said Trent.
I'm sorry. I've had a
20-20.
Well, so you noob.
Noob. Big 2025.
Oh my god. I'm gonna say it again. He's so Facebook coded. You are so Facebook.
I had to find a better word. That's just.
Did you see the AI generated bird with the testicles? Did you see that? Did you think that was real?
It's all real. It's all real.
Oh my god.
Oh fuck.
I could say so much right now.
Do not.
Bulgaria's goal. So there was a set piece. It was headed out to Quiet and Go.
Yeah.
Dinked it over. Tags brought the ball down, and then Bulgaria scored on the turn. And somehow we've managed to find a way to. I think that was the first time we've come back from being like a fair amount of goals down to.
Just keep talking, James. Please.
To end up winning the game. So Will, any thoughts on the goal?
Well, look. It was reminiscent of the days of 2000 and... I'm testing my knowledge here.
2001.
What was the year we made the grand final again? Was it 20...
Which one? NSL or A-League?
Sorry, I forgot we had one. I tried to think about the... Well, both
19?
Brisbane.
12.
12. Reminiscent of the win we had against the Mariners. I know it was on pens.
Yeah.
But I got a nice little flashback to beating the Mariners in extra time after, a close game. It was actually very comforting.
Oh, yeah.
Because, seeing them all dressed up in yellow and losing was really, really nice.
Yeah.
Getting that from an Oz Cup postseason fixture in front of
have had nothing.
In front of an empty stadium in Darwin.
I have had
so cute.
nothing else,
Yeah,
Alex.
Is more of a...
It felt good. The goal was good. Again, we deserved to win in 90 minutes. Like, let's not kid ourselves here. The game
we should have won it in 90 minutes.
We should have won it in 45, to be honest. Like, it should have been put to bed by the time it was half time.
Yep.
For sure. But, it was nice to be on the other end of a comeback win instead of it being we're the ones that choked a 2-0 lead, because that happened way too many times in the last 3 years. But good goal.
Alex? Thoughts?
No, I think Adam's really come to us. I think the MPL
Which
game
one?
time.
Bulgaria.
Zimmerino.
Tag it. Dickhead.
I think Bulgaria's really come into his own. Look, I agree. I think the Oz camp with the under-20s definitely did him some good. But I'd like to say, I think the MPL game time, that extended run that he had with the MPL side, I think has really done him some good.
Yeah,
I'm hoping this. I think it's done Kwai some good as well. Kwai looked a different player when he came on against Wellington. So I'm hoping an extended run with the MPL for the likes of Freeney, the likes of Kwai, the likes of Bulgaria, the likes of Blair.
James has some thoughts on
Lizalaiski, Labib, Majex, whoever. I'm just hopeful that a good run with the MPL in the off-season can give them the confidence they need to be able to build on something.
Yeah, James, that's why you hate Kwai.
I wonder how much Adam Bulgaria thinks about the Roman Empire.
The fuck?
Holy 2023. Shut up. Go on, James.
All I was going to say was I think he needs to have a big off-season.
Okay. You calling him short?
No, I'm just saying I want more output.
What?
It's got nothing to do with that.
How are guys not
a big off-season?
Yeah. How are guys not 6 foot? Literally just get in the gym. That's what you just said.
Yeah, dude.
No, I think he needs to have more of an output.
Yeah.
Because I think he needs to establish himself.
Did he not get an assist?
He did against Wellington.
Yeah, but I want more.
Okay. Cool.
Because
You greedy boy.
Yo, little piggy.
How greedy.
I want-
Hello, Pepper. Hello, Pepper.
But this is the thing. We're probably gonna be relying on Qua to be that guy to come in, off
As
the
like
bench.
number 10, yeah. Alex.
We are gonna need a bit more from Qua.
Yes,
He hasn't scored a goal yet,
this is correct.
and he's only got like a handful of assists.
I agree. Like, we do need more output from him if we're
And-
going to give him the game time. I
yeah,
agree.
and he needs to. So he's obviously a good player.
Yeah.
but he needs to have that output to justify, I think, the game time, depending on what we do with our recruitment.
For
But,
sure.
I just thought, and just to wrap up on the game, and before we get onto if there were any players that we thought were standouts. Glory had 20 shots to Mariners, 19, 8 on target for Glory, 5 for Mariners, 3
Bang.
big chances created for 1, XG of 1.86 to 0.43, and this was shown before the penalty. We had 33 touches in Mariners' box, they had 17 in ours, and we were just, much better.
Standout players,
Who was-
personally,
yeah.
I don't know what this guy's on about,
Yeah.
but personally, I did think Ollie had a pretty good game. Can you?
Yeah, because he saved the penalty.
Yep. So that was impressive from him.
Shit penalty call, though, I think.
It was, but I was
Fucking
pretty
harsh.
confident in him to save it. To be
Yeah.
honest. It shouldn't have been a pen, and I was fairly confident he would save it as well because I
Mm.
just thought he was having a pretty good game. The 2 goals I don't blame him for.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I think for sure he saved the game. You don't want to go to pens because then it's a level playing field.
Fuck
Even though,
that.
again, I do think Ollie probably would have come up the big uns because I do think he's probably a better keeper than Paul.
Parayich Cullen, you mean? I don't think they were
Paul
going to
said
stick
centre
Nathan Paul in
dude.
goal.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no.
Hello,
Who
Pepper.
was I thinking of?
You were thinking of Nathan Paul, the centre back.
No, Paul,
You were
the
thinking
goalkeeper called
Dylan Parayich Cullen.
Paul.
Either way, the Mariners
Were
keeper.
you thinking of Pavlesic?
Maybe.
That's
Either way,
Paul.
I just I don't rate the
Paul.
Mariners have had a goalkeeper problem all season. And
They have, yes.
Ollie's just not going to lose out to
Have
someone.
they?
I don't know.
I think Dylan Parayich Cullen's been quite good.
Nah,
No, they've been shit.
no, they haven't.
Really?
No, he's been
No.
pretty. He's not been.
No,
He's
they've
not
not-
been what
I
they
don't
expected him to be. Didn't ask.
No.
So,
Yeah.
Osler as well. I thought when he came, he had a pretty decent cameo. He showed why he is a bit of a.
Just be nice, man. It's the off season. We're giving him shit during the season.
I was just
Say
saying,
good things
from
about
from
Alex.
his standards, he played above what I expected him to do, and
Yep.
he did well.
Got to praise our 2 midfield boys.
Yeah.
So praise him then, Will.
Okay, I thought
Amos, please stay.
Amos was fantastic. I do think our fullbacks also had a really good game.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with how many runs and how involved they were as well. Defensively as
There was
well.
one point where in the second half, Utah Missau absolutely sprinted past Abdul Faisal.
Yeah,
And it's like, Abdul's good. Abdul can be a good player, but his work
I
rate,
agree.
like we said on the end of season review,
Yeah.
is poor.
it is
Going
poor.
back, it's good in some parts.
The raw
going
talent
forward.
is there.
The talent's there, but if he's not going to sprint back, so I guess that's for Mariners to work out. But yeah, I thought.
I genuinely think
fullbacks.
everyone had a fairly good game. Again, we talked about Majex already. I don't want to slander him too much because I don't blame him for
No,
not
it's-
having that time. But I genuinely think we played a really good game.
Yeah, which was
It should have been a 3-0 win.
should have been a
at the
comfortable
very
game.
bare minimum.
Should have been, but hopefully you would think with better players for next season and I guess more cohesion. I know we're doing if buts and maybes here.
I do
But we
absolutes. Yeah.
We shouldn't be too far away, surely, from a performance where we can be in control
No.
and like win 2-0 or 3-0.
I will only believe that we're not far away until I see us in the top 6. I don't want to hear it. Like you're more than welcome to have your own opinions, as I know you do.
You're more than welcome to have your opinions, but they suck.
They're shit.
I just we beat up a very young crap Mariners side.
That also beat us a few months ago.
Not that exact same squad.
Pretty much.
Really similar.
Okay.
They
Will.
beat us 3-1, lad.
Yeah. If we could just beat a good team. I know we beat Auckland.
We beat a finals team in Adelaide.
Yeah, okay.
beat the
They
team that's
don't
probably-
count. The fact that they made it is insane. I don't know how they got there.
Crimes against humanity.
It really is. But I know we beat
No, I get it.
Auckland.
We need to beat better teams, and our brand of football needs to stack up against better teams.
For sure. If
Yeah, I
we can
agree.
pick up, if we could have throughout the season picked up some wins against, your cities, your victories, some
Sydney FC at home.
Sydney, yeah, some of those games I would have had a lot more faith in that we were close, or at least put in a good performance.
Sure.
But once again, drawing back to the fact that we got battered by multiple goals by Newcastle and other, it seems it's this team is actually quite like Ollie Sale. Is that we pick and choose when we're going to play well and when we're not?
No, because I would think there's been too many off days.
Yeah, Ollie Sale's had quite a few off days.
I can't wait for us to like lose to Blacktown City or some shit in the next round of the Oz Cup.
Well, we can do that with new players. Speaking of which, transfers.
Yes.
So
5 departures.
well,
5 departures announced today.
Five departures were announced. So Jalen, there are 5. So
Jalen Pearman, who we all knew, is probably going to QPR.
Anas Hamzawi, Lockie Barr, Patrick Wood has returned to Sydney FC. Riley Wallen has left the club, and Hiroki Aoma, while not officially, he has left the club.
Massive.
So we probably anticipated all of those players to go.
Aoma left in like November.
No hard feelings. No hard feelings against those guys, but probably did need to move on.
We predicted that every single one of these.
We didn't see most of them for the last few games, so I feel, except for Jalen.
Yeah.
And Riley Wallen just got sucked into the abyss after that game he had. So I don't know what happened to him, but I never saw another peep from him. I think he was doing autographs actually one of the last home games.
He was.
So he was around. It's just that's what just. I know we did a whole tangent about it. I just wonder what's happening there because Riley, I don't think he was injured. He just had that really poor performance, and then we never saw him again. We didn't hear why. He wasn't really around that much. It's like, does Dave just like say you played bad, so therefore
players stepped up? No, but players stepped up when he got taken out, be it Lizalewski or Misal.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just
if you're getting outdone by a first year player almost in Lizalewski, then you
for sure
you can't have any complaints about why you're not getting selected.
I agree.
Quick thing as well.
Okay.
Shout out to Anas Hamzawi, absolute class act. For any of you that are involved in Glory social media, you probably would have seen that he is sending around a lot of nice messages to people that reach out to him. And I do get the sense that he actually really did enjoy his time at the club. I wish it could have gone a little better in terms of him maybe finding his feet more on the pitch and getting a bit more game time consistently. But regardless, seems like an all-round really nice guy.
Yeah, I just feel like if you're going to give everyone else an opportunity, you may as well give him one too.
Yeah, I'm sorry, no. It's. I mean, I'm sure he's a
James. We're talking about how nice of a person he is.
James, he's leaving.
James,
it's okay.
It's okay.
You won the war, James. He's
left,
gone.
James, he has left, and we're talking about how nice of a human he is. We do not need to hear about what his sofa score readings are saying.
It's got nothing to do with his sofa score. It's just about visa signings for next season. Visa signings for next season that we have to get right. And if we do make a visa signing, do not say I liken this player to Lizarazu, right? We can't be doing that. And that comment got thrown around when
Callum Timmins is the Australian Perlo region.
He's the Australian Aaron Moy.
Oh, that just didn't hit well. But anyway, so yeah,
Alex laughed.
Callum Timmins,
because it was pathetic.
Callum Timmins is likely to come in. To what role he will have, we don't know.
Bread roll.
Thanks, Alex. Such a fucking dork. No,
yes.
Well, it'll be. I think in terms of some good cover, and if he plays well, fuck it, start him. He was solid.
Start him?
Hey.
Sorry.
No, if he plays well, I'm not going to. If he, sure he can start because he was solid for Newcastle this season. In fairness,
can we get Walter Scott?
Why?
I don't know.
Just because Dan hates him and you want to piss Daniel.
Who's that Newcastle bloke? I know his name once I'll hear it. The really good Newcastle player that I think he wants
Clayton
out.
Taylor.
Yeah, Taylor.
He wants to go to Europe.
Oh, okay.
Well, Perth is closer to Europe than fucking Newcastle.
That's true.
Why the fuck would he want to go to Perth if he's a starting star player at Newcastle?
Because he could be a star player at Perth Glory.
He would have interest from big A-League clubs. Why the fuck would he want to
We're a big A-League club.
No, we are not. Right now, we are absolutely
We have cash.
We're the envy of the A-League.
Allegedly.
Actually, to be fair,
bro.
that German guy on Twitter, the
Muller?
really famous... No, the German guy on Twitter. What's his name?
Muller?
Tiago?
I don't know.
So some big Hamburg fan or some shit. He's massive on Twitter. He said we're the biggest club in Australia. Someone was quizzing him and it's like, who's the,
who's
the biggest team from each country?
Talksport?
Yeah, on Talksport.
Yeah.
They're like, who's the biggest team from this country? And they said Australia, and he goes, Perth Glory.
But that makes sense though, because we've done a lot of stuff with
In terms of
European
yeah.
teams.
But in terms of
so-
the context of the history of Australian
for
football,
sure, yeah, we are.
Glory is probably up there.
I think with the NSL
Or professional football
but,
in
but
Australia.
do you know how many times we've had clubs like we've had quite a few Premier League clubs come to Perth either to play us or just hang about.
But there is an appeal to come to Perth in the sense of what we could be, but in terms of what we actually are, then there's a different thing. So that's why it's important we sell a good project.
The
Yeah.
WWE I love it here, mate.
So rumours. So Jaden Kaczarski was rumoured to be joining Perth Glory. That does not look like it's going to be happening.
Unless Western fold.
Unless Western fold, he's off
Or
to
they get
Western
transfer
United.
banned.
He's off to Western United.
90 plus 3 minute Western United gambling scandal.
And then he
90
goes
plus
to Adelaide.
90
Adelaide,
plus.
yeah, with Goodwin up front.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could you imagine? That would be disgusting strike depth.
It'd be
Goodwin, Jovanovic, and
Oh.
fucking Kaczarski.
that'd be ridiculous.
Actually, that reminds me, we were just saying, I saw some Perth Glory merch in London.
No,
Wow.
I don't know if I mentioned that.
you did not mention that.
I'm sorry.
That is actually quite
I went to a
interesting.
pub and they had like loads of different teams. The only Australian one they had was a Perth Glory. I think it was a scarf.
To be
Makes sense.
fair, Perth Glory is a majority English. sort
Exactly.
of-
Yes, I
yeah.
wasn't surprised that
No.
I saw that, but yeah, maybe we just have a bigger reputation. Than we think.
That just reminds me of when I went op shopping for football kits in Sydney, and the only one I found was a Brisbane Roar kit.
That's so cool. Anyway, James, what were you saying?
We may as well get on. Are there any thoughts on the Kaczarski rumour? Or
No,
I'm
we're not
very
getting him.
sad
Move on.
that we're not getting
you
him.
are very sad.
Look,
because
Yeah,
you are-
he's
No,
he
it's because
deserves him.
I signed him in my Pentagon Challenge career
Oh,
mode, and I thought it was a
fuck's
big
sake.
coming. I thought it was a big full circle moment that I
Oh.
was gonna start. He was gonna ball out for me in career mode, and then he would ball out for the Glory IRL. But that's not happening now, and we're unfortunately gonna be stuck with some schmuck like Jordan Murray or something.
Who
like that.
knows? We don't know.
If we sign Jordan Murray now, that's a really bad look.
If he balls out, it's gonna be an even worse look.
Yeah.
Joe Lolly.
Pass.
I'll just read what
Oh,
was
sorry.
reported.
Smash.
Just you fucker. All right. So the
I would.
No. Okay.
the interest is real. So the story that happened was, I think it was done yesterday. So Sydney FC are desperate to sign Adam Taggart.
Oh wow.
Interest in Sydney Sweeney's real.
Yeah.
So that Sydney want to sign Adam Taggart, and they are willing to use essentially Joe Lolly as a bargaining chip.
Wow.
Taggart doesn't want to leave, nor does Perth Glory want him to leave. If Lolly was to come here, we would sign him on a 3-year deal. Lolly has since returned to England to weigh up his options. Stan Lazaridis had an interview in the West Australian today where he said that it sort of seemed like Lolly, the deal for him to join, seems a little bit hard to do without
Yeah.
using Adam Taggart.
No shit.
And it's like,
No
obviously,
shit.
obviously.
So
Here's the thing, right? I can't. I've always thought of this, but I never really put it to words. But
Sure.
how shit must it feel as a footballer if you're used as a bargaining chip? for
Fucking
another-
rubbish.
That would feel so. You're going
Yeah.
from being the biggest name at your club, hands down the best player at your club in the last 2 years. While you've been there, and then they go to you at the end of the season, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to try and ship you off to the other side of the country so that we can get someone else.
I just want to make it known as well.
Yeah.
That Joe Lolly, by the time the next season starts, will be 33. And we are offering him, if he comes, a 3-year deal.
yeah, but
Now-
Castro, when he signed, was like
Okay,
47.
that is... Shut up. I just feel like that's the second idea of giving someone a 3-year deal who is a lot, not exactly... Allegedly. That's the second alleged contract that we're trying to hand out.
Remember when we were giving shit to Andy Keogh for his 3-year Amini deal?
Yes.
His Amini, Sale, and Bodnar 3-year deals?
Yes.
Remember that?
Yeah, and it aged like fine wine that
But-
we were complaining about it.
But I don't know why why we'd be offering a 3-year deal, unless obviously there's the security thing, but 2, how in the fuck can we afford both Lolly and Taggart? We've gone from cost cutting El Cheapo this season to suddenly, oh yeah, shit.
Because
the wallet works now,
unless
guys.
Taggart is signing a new deal, which is going to dramatically cut his wages, and then Lolly is our sole marquee, there is literally no way we
if
can
I'm
afford
tagged,
this.
ain't no way I'm losing money. Like I'm taking all the money that we've got for him. Like I wouldn't be mad at him if he was like, no, pay me.
Would we take Lolly? Like in, I know it's a stupid question.
Yeah, like I would
take Lolly, but not if it's.
Would ya?
I would take Lolly, but not if it was going to completely just destroy all sense of squad building and or wage structure.
I don't want
of this
him to
club.
be like. I don't want him to get him and then miss out on signing 2 or 3 other decent players to fill out the squad. I don't want to go all in on Joe Lolly.
Our front line is sort of done with Taggart and Wales. We just need a number 10.
Yes,
winger.
but here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
I'd say, considering that we're getting
And we got
Sutton,
Miliznik as well.
considering that we're getting Sutton, Wooten, and Timmins,
Yeah.
realistically, at the stage that the squad's at, I'd say the only positions we need left are a striker, a left winger, a left back, and a right back, right?
Why left back?
I'd say a left back because I don't assume that...
You've got Sutton and Liz.
not a left back, sorry. We need a right back, a left wing, and a striker. And possibly another right winger, maybe.
No, if you can't, just keep Miliznik.
You reckon just keep Miliznik?
Well, you're going to need.
Well, then you can keep Miliznik.
Well, off the bench, you're going to
just do what you want, James. just do whatever you
You're
want,
going to need
mate.
a bit of output off the bench.
Okay.
Bro.
Listen,
Sure.
you need another...
There.
Actually, no, you need another centre back is what you need.
There.
You need a striker, a left back, a right back, and a centre back. A strike back, a left wing,
strike back,
a striker, a left winger, a right
So
back,
you're set on a
and
striker,
a
not a number
central
10.
defender.
But you're
a
set-
left winger. I know someone who's from the left wing.
Anthony Amity. No.
No, but so you're set on a striker, not a number 10.
James,
Is that right?
James.
Yes, get to the point.
I feel like Zrilic would want a striker more for the pressing structure. I feel like that's the reason why he tried the Patrick Wood experiment. And I
Bruno
feel like
Fornaroli, welcome to Perth Glory.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I feel like he wants that second striker, which is the only reason we bought in Pat Wood instead of looking for a better cam option.
Zach Sapsford, welcome to Perth Glory.
I would take Zach Sapsford. I would very much take Zach Sapsford. But here's the thing, right?
Certain people would not like me saying that, but anyway.
But with Lolly, right? I can't see us getting Lolly and then also getting a good left winger, a good centre back, and a good right back. Like, it almost seems to me like we're weighing up, do we get 4 7 out of 10 picks, or do we get Joe Lolly and then 3, 4, or 5 out of 10?
You've got to get some 7 out of 10s. I would
No,
say.
but that's
sure.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree.
If you said ideally, what would you do if you don't go for Lolly? I'd say you get Aiden Simmons, you get Josh Laws, you get a banger left wing who can play make fairly well, and then you get someone with a bit younger with a bit more of a tank. Ideally, a Zach Sapsford.
No, I tell you what, I think we're better off getting a number 10 because Rilla's going to want speedy wingers.
We've
Okay,
been dying for number 10 since Castro left.
That's the thing.
Okay, but that's the thing. That's why I think that it'd be more. I think it would be more so that they'd be looking for a left winger that can play make a bit more, and
Why
then
is
have
that?
those two
Like cut
strikers
inside a bit more. And,
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
so that the pressing structure fits a bit better.
So Joe,
I feel like
Lolly.
Zrilla was trying to transition to that. And look, you look at the way that Jalen was sort of pressing that pressing straight. He was very high up compared to what you'd expect from a traditional cam in a 4-2-3-1.
True.
He was very high up. I feel like
But
he was also. I feel like he was almost attempting to play
Yeah.
Jalen as a false 9.
But our wingers though they had to have a higher work rate. You're not going to get that from a playmaker.
No. I
In,
agree.
in that pressing structure where you've got the 2 strikers up top and then you've got the wingers out wide and then you've got a midfielder pushing up to
Yeah.
get that 3 in behind the 2.
Yeah.
I know I'm getting a bit nerdy here, but the wingers did a shitload of work and they have to get out quickly.
Yeah.
If you get like some lazy ass from Europe, that's a good playmaker, but fucking horrible with his work rate. As a wide player, I
Yeah.
don't think it's going to work. I think you're better off getting a good number 10.
That's fair enough. But then also, if you get a good number 10, you sacrifice. Do you not have the same problem where you're sacrificing a piece of the pressing structure?
No, because I think you can cover that by having 2 relatively passive players up front, but
Yeah.
the players behind that, because you then have Amos and Pennington, and then 2 good wingers, which would be Lockie Wales and someone else.
You would
And good
essentially get a good 10 who's not great physically but better technically, and him and Taggart would sort of ease off.
You
their,
need we
their
can
workloads
we
with
can
the
we
press.
can we can all collectively agree that we need an uptick in the number of goals that we score, chances we create,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah,
and that's
sure.
been shit for years. We've not reliably had a good source of chances created, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I think most teams that finished in the top 6 this season, at least half, I think, if I'm recalling this correctly, scored over 50 goals.
Yep.
And we only scored 22.
Yep.
And our XG was pretty fucking pitiful. So we need a player that can routinely create and get the likes of Taggart and Wales, good chances in the box. And then pending what we get with a good left winger, because you think about the Leipzig sides as well, they had really quick wingers that can get out and press and work their bums off.
But like besides Lolly, in reality, who is there?
There's not really anyone there.
But I'm hoping that's why we've got. Well, remember when Stan was talking about that overseas 10 or winger?
Maybe Amos can
No.
say, hey, friends,
No.
it's really good over here.
Oi, Delhi. Oi, Delhi.
You gotta play football here.
No, but I get what you mean. But at the same time, I think it's probably more likely that he'd look for a gun striker next to Tags who can help with our high octane pressing structure and maybe try and lower the work rate of the left winger.
No, because
I completely get what you mean. But I'm interested to find out what they're planning to do with these fullbacks. Because Sutton, you would expect that they would be working into the fact that going forward he's quite good.
Yes.
So you'd expect someone to at least operate in those inside areas so that Sutton can get forward.
I don't think that's going to be. I don't think that's going to be a playmaker.
You don't think that's going to be
because
sort of role that they're playing?
and we got to remember, like when Zrilla played either Freeney or Pearman as a winger, the press was notably a lot. And this isn't a sledge against them. They just weren't suited to pressing quickly from that side. They weren't able to get out to the player quicker. So because of that, when you're wanting the fullback to step up, and we're trying to lock it in on a wide side, we saw a big difference the moment Lockie Wales came in. How quickly he was able to get out.
Was on it.
And same with Miller Jusnic.
Yeah.
If you've got again some slow bum from somewhere in Europe, that's not going to be able to get out there quickly.
Fat dog.
Then the press is going to fall apart because he wants to win the ball out wide and then transition or get a long ball that goes to Amos to head it back or Washington to head it back.
No,
I think a good striker would help, but I also think we're better off if it's possible to get Bruno as a backup because there have been rumours. I mean, even though Stan sort of said, it's not really going to happen.
Bruno was a 10.
He left the door ajar for Fornaroli to possibly come back. Albeit it's unlikely.
On a very low
salary and a low impact role, I would think.
And he's Australian at least now.
So I think we're better off going for a good number 10 and a solid winger that's quick.
Agreed.
That can press. There'll be a huge difference between a quick winger versus a slower one. I think.
almost feel, though, that... All right.
Yeah.
So here's my problem.
Sure.
Wooden, Sutton, and Amos, assuming Amos is staying, all take up visa spots. That's 3 down.
Yeah.
You only realistically have a max of 2, and that's if one of them's a marquee.
Yeah.
Right? I'm assuming we're not going to sign a marquee visa. That's my guess.
But we might sign a really expensive one.
We might sign a really expensive one, yes, but I don't necessarily know if we're going to be getting... Because here's the thing for me, right? Here's the thing. Unless it's an absolute game changer, I don't see a reason of spending massive on... Unless it is a game-changing signing. I'm talking someone who's in their physical prime, who fits Zrilic's system perfectly, who you know is going to be committed to the club for 2, 3, 4 years. I don't see a reason...
I think that's pie in the sky sort of stuff, but I think you can get a good short, medium-term option because we need it. We need a sugar hit. We need someone to help because we've identified that Ada Bulgaria could be that number 10 player. Seb Despotovsky could possibly be transitioned into that player down the track, but we need someone for now so that the pressure isn't going to be put on those guys. I think you're better off going for a number 10 who can create, because otherwise how else are we going to create our chances to be at a consistently high level, right? Because Wales and Taggart can create chances in certain ways, but we don't have players technically that can link up or play those passes that will allow the likes of Sutton, or if we go with Risnet right back or someone else, to get forward into those advanced areas. We don't have someone that can unlock a defence.
No, I completely agree. Look, I've said numerous times that I don't like the 4-4-2 the 4-4-2 setup. That's why I hated the prospect of having Pat Wood here in the first place. Right. I much prefer the 4-2-3-1 or ideally a 3-back.
But 4-2-3-1 was what Zrilla's trying to do from the start.
Yeah, he was trying to do it from the start, and then he reverted to this whole 4-4-2 with 2 strikers, which I didn't really understand.
Because he didn't really have a number 10.
No, I get that. But at the same time, I would rather the 4-2-3-1, like you said,
looked at our best in that.
10. My problem is the fact that the market for an Australian left winger.
I don't think you're going
Is
to go
not
Aussie.
good.
You're not going to go Aussie.
Okay,
Go 2 visas.
you reckon 2 visas on a cam and a
Yes.
left winger?
Yes.
One of which has to be a marquee.
Yes. Or not a marquee, but I would go harder for a really good number 10
Yeah.
and then get away
No,
with
but
it for a winger.
You can only get that 5th visa if they're down as a marquee.
Why is that?
Because you can have 4 visas and then one marquee.
No,
visa.
that's not how it works.
Is that not how it works?
No.
Oh,
You've got 5 visa players, mate.
Oh, you got 5 now?
Five-
Oh, fuck. I
5
thought you had
visas.
4 and then 1 marquee.
No,
I don't think we're going to get a marquee.
Okay.
bruh.
I think
Look,
that
here's the
you're
thing,
gonna,
right?
'cause what do you,
If you can get 5 visas, sure, use the last 2 on a cam and a left wing. I'm just saying the Australian market right now,
Yep.
for left wingers in particular, is really bad. And the
Sure.
market for cams, while it's not as bad, is bad when you consider the
I
fact
don't
that
think
most of them are not.
you're not
injury.
going to get what you want from an Aussie.
No, I completely agree. I think you can.
That's
get,
attainable.
You can get a good stopgap option. You can get I don't know why you would, but you can go out for someone like a.
Daniel De Silva.
I was going to say you can go out for someone like a Danny De Silva or a Max Burgess, but I don't think they're going to give you the results that you're looking for.
No.
If you do end up going for 2 visas, I think that's the best option. However, I am concerned with Stan Lazaridis,
That's the big
and
thing.
his history
That's the big
of
thing.
being an absolute fucking idiot
Yeah.
when it comes to not doing his research behind players.
Cannot-
And here's the thing.
uh,
If we are going to spend big on a player, I don't want Stan to be the director of
Have to
football. when we do
recommend
it.
that. I hope that it's Zrilla that's recommending it or has found this
but
guy.
even then, I don't want it being a signing because it's come as a direct recommendation from Zrilla. Because I guarantee you, he suggested Pat Wood, and we can all see how that turned out.
But why did we suggest Pat Wood?
Listen,
Because we didn't have David Williams and we needed another option.
yes, but here's the thing, right?
And he was
I
there.
don't see the benefit, or I don't see a reason as to why we should be spending big on a player that's coming as a sole recommendation from Zrilla or a sole recommendation from Stan. It needs to be a collective group decision that this is a player that Zrilla wants and it fits his system. This is a player that Stan thinks is good enough.
How
and
do you
this is
know
a
that's not the process right now?
I'm just saying that if we are going to spend big on a cam and a left wing, we need to at least make sure that they are established, that they're going to stay fit. The most important thing, they're going to stay
These
fit.
are obvious points that anyone would be looking at.
But that's the thing, is that attainable for where we are right now as a club? Because realistically, you're looking at someone who's in either in their late 20s, early 30s,
Right.
who's experienced enough to a point where they're going to be able to come in, take a lot of the pressure off of this team and make an instant impact
Yep.
creatively. Not double, but triple the amount of goals that we're scoring and chances we're creating.
Right.
Are we going to be able to attain something like that? And while we might be able to, sure.
Yeah.
Are we going through the proper process of actually scouting these players out?
Well-
or are we just going on agent recommendations again?
Number one, we don't know for sure. And number two, I just think, you can find, let's say for a winger, and then Will, I want to hear your thoughts. But
Hello.
I think you can find a good budget foreign winger that can do a job. But I think number 10 is a critical position that we cannot afford.
Number
to
10,
balls up.
100% will be harder to find.
So-
I'm fine spending massive on a number 10,
Yeah.
but a good left winger you can find at any corner of the world. You can go to Africa, you can go to South America, you can go to fucking Antarctica
Yeah.
and find a good left winger.
Yeah, I know.
A quality 10
That's going to be the mission.
has to be from Europe.
Sure. Yeah, that's cool. Will, what do you think?
I mean, I agree. I think left wing is one of those positions where, when you're a youth product, when you're trying to develop your game, no one wants to go. I'll guess I'll slot in at left back, or it's a bit more of a lesser role. Everyone wants to play that kind of left wing. There's a lot of them out there. I don't think it's that hard. It's not that hard to find them. It's whether or not you can just meet that salary that they want to be met with.
Yeah, and get a deal done quickly.
A deal done quickly. I think we have an advantage as a team in Australia, let alone Perth, is that our lifestyle
That's a big factor.
can be a massive
It's a big
factor for
factor.
people from Europe. So I would 100% looked more towards Europe. I understand that sometimes the work rate and the pace of European wingers can come into question, but I do genuinely think some of the best wingers that we have as options. I would imagine there's a lot of really good raw talent in the UK.
Well, there was a lad that got released by Blackburn, Perth-born.
Yes.
Zach
Gilsenan.
I think so.
Yeah, it is.
He'd be a hard dude to sign.
I forget that he's Perth-born, but he would be. I was going to suggest him the other day to you boys, but I didn't
Yeah.
bother because I didn't realize he'd been released yet.
Yeah.
He would be a gun signing. Now, to say
man.
beforehand, he is 21. He has had a long history of injuries, which is a problem. However, he is an absolute gun. I think any Blackburn fan who's seen him can attest to the fact that he's really good. But injuries is a problem.
But if we're gonna go with a final decision, we think that assuming we know for sure Sutton and Wootton are gonna come. They're gonna take a visa spot.
Yeah.
Stan Lazaridis, as it was quoted in the West Australian, is supremely confident that Luke Amos is gonna stay. So there's three.
Yeah.
You're gonna have 2 visa spots.
Yep.
We're all saying number 10 and left winger.
Absolutely.
The right back and centre back markets in Australia are good enough to cover the
for sure.
needs.
And this is
What do we do as what do we also do as a backup for tags?
backup for tags. You can get one from Australia.
Who?
You.
Who would you like?
Okay,
Who would you
if you want to go
Bruno.
for, if you want to go,
Bruno?
Bruno can come in,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But if you want to go for a more experienced option, there's plenty of options out there. You've got Anthony Carter. You've got the likes of Jordan Murray coming off contract. If you want to go
Yeah.
for a more youthful pickup, I know we probably can't get an Jaden Kaczarski. You've got Zach Sapsford. You've got Justin Vidic. You've got some
Nikita
good young players.
Rugovica.
You've got Sebi Despotovsky, who I'm sure could mold more into the
But
striker role.
someone actually raised this point though.
Nathaniel Blair, who we
Yeah.
already have at the club as well.
Someone actually did raise this point when we were talking about Bruno.
I just want to say, didn't Stan say at the members forum that we've got a guaranteed centre mid signing done of a what did he say?
He said he said we have a guaranteed 10 already signed.
Was it 10 or was it someone else?
No, he said it was a 10.
guaranteed midfield. He didn't say 10. It was a midfielder.
No, but I swear he said
'Cause-
they've signed someone that will be exciting. He said,
Yeah,
like,
no, a
and-
midfield. He said
I
a
don't know.
midfielder that will be exciting.
But I just
and he said, what did he say about him?
it was a midfielder. There's a midfield signing.
Yeah,
but the way he
said a very
describes him, we
exciting midfield
thought-
signing.
the way he
I don't
describes
think
him,
he
we
was
thought
talking about
Holman.
Amos, and I don't think he was talking about
Timmins.
no, but
That's an exciting well signing.
no. But here's the thing: he was listing off. He was listing off attributes to their game.
Yes.
It did not sound like Callum Timmins.
No, it sounded like Jake Holman.
Yeah, exactly.
It
And we were
really
like,
did.
oh, so Holman is done.
And I would
he's
ta-
like
and-
an exciting centre mid,
And
and he's
he's-
good creatively.
Holman's off to
He's
Europe.
got plenty of miles, technically brilliant.
And
We're
he's
like,
good engine.
Holman, perfect.
And he's not a visa either.
Yeah.
So-
we're like, oh,
yeah.
perfect. We've got Holman. Great. Yes. And then he's just like, oh, Holman's off to Europe now. Well, like shit.
But
Yeah.
there was a good point that was raised about when we were linked with Kaczarski on one of the comments from our viewers. Nick said, I would rather use the young guys we've got, but if Israel would have had tabs on the young guys from New South Wales from his time in Sydney. And then Georgie Shandor and Joy replied by saying, I mean, who do we have next year? We have an unproven Despotovsky, a hot and cold and go that we haven't seen consistently been strong enough for the rigours of professional football, and then Anasmo. So I think
That's if Anasmo.
that's if
Anasmo
he comes back. He might get bought by John Book for a possibly big fee. I'm not too sure.
Massive fee.
Well, allegedly. But, so I think we need to ensure that our depth can be as good as it possibly can, because I think at least, let's say, midfield, fuck, we're stacked.
Yeah, and we I swear we've been saying this every season. Oh, we've got lots of really good midfielders. Like,
And our
And Nick
midfield is the
Minute-
worst part of it.
yeah, it's just it's doing my nothing purely because we keep don't look at him like that because we signed some really good quality players in the midfield, but they're all the same kind of like archetype of player.
Yeah.
And it was like we don't need 6.
Road runners.
Like we don't need 6 of you. No offense, but we don't.
Here's the thing, right? I feel like with your 4 main midfielders being Amos, Timmins, Pennington, and Franey,
That's
you,
good.
That's
you
good
cover
enough.
all ground.
That's good
The,
enough.
the center of midfield is done. It's dusted. We don't have to touch it for another like 2-3 years.
Yeah.
What I'm concerned about is the positions that we mentioned: striker, left wing, right back, centre back. You need a right back who ideally this season can start ahead of Risdon, but if not,
They
needs
might
to be
use
able to
Osler.
start at least half of the games.
Yeah.
Needs to be able to start at least half of the games, and needs to be able to usurp Risdon guaranteed by the start of next season. That is not Trent Osler. I'm sorry.
I just
I
think
love
that's
Trent,
right. Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't think Trent Osler is ready.
we need to go after Rawlins, I think, because he's not.
Rollins or Simmons. It has to be Rollins or
Yeah.
Simmons.
I just think Rollins is more likely because he was just here. He knows he'll get game time. He didn't. Things haven't worked out the way he wanted to work out at Victory.
Well, if Insera is, you think he'll be there right back for next year?
Look, if anything is more telling, it's the fact that Insera didn't make his I don't know if he didn't make his pro debut. He was nowhere near getting consistent first team minutes for the entirety of the start of the two-thirds, the first two-thirds of the season.
Yep.
Was getting barely any minutes.
Yep.
This last third of the season, when Rawlins has been really needed, Insera has been ahead of him, and Insera is 19 and barely started for the Australian under-20s.
May as well have a look at it.
Might as well. There's zero reason not to.
It just makes
if we
so
can
much
get Rawlins,
sense.
here's we have said this. Rawlins is the most like-for-like fullback you're going to get when you're thinking of replacing Risdon.
Yep.
If
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
looking at someone a bit more attacking, you
Then
have
you
to
go
look
Simo.
at Aiden
for sure.
Simmons.
I would
100%.
prefer Rawlins personally.
I
Because
would take
just-
either,
yeah.
but I'm interested
Yeah.
into seeing what Drilla is actually going to
By the
do with
way-
this, because Rawlins, I don't think, is that far off Risdon either in terms of attacking work rate.
No,
which is-
Attacky does need a bit of work. But by the way,
Yeah,
the
but
Simmons
I was
thing,
gonna say,
the
that's
Simmons
not-
thing, the
that's-
Simmons thing we are suggesting, there is no concrete leak.
There's no concrete leak for Risdon either.
Or
Risdon, Rawlins, sorry.
We have no links to either of these players. It's just generally we think they would be a
Yeah.
good fit.
The centre back one, I think, is a bit of an easier one because there's plenty of good Australians out there who can slot in. My main picks for that left centre back, and
It depends if
I say
Labib
left
stays.
centre back
It
role.
depends if Labib
If
stays.
Labib stays, you don't have to touch it really because Labib and Wooten is a good enough
It's
pairing
good
in
enough.
my eyes.
It's more than good enough.
However, if Labib leaves,
Then
he's got
you've-
the interest from Salzburg and all over Europe. If he does leave, I think your main two looks have to be Josh Laws and Nathan Paul, who's coming off contract.
Yeah.
Nathan Paul, great physical presence. Maybe needs a bit more work on the ball, but he's quick, he's tall, he's strong. Pretty much a perfect Merchler replacement plus a bit of pace.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Josh Laws, you just know he's
Elite
going to
on the
bring in
ball.
quality.
Yeah.
He's elite on the ball.
yeah.
He'll bring in quality. He'll be a good technical partner for Scott Wooten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He brings that. But once again, they're two different types of centre backs. So you have to sort of look at who we go for and say, okay, so what are we exactly prioritizing here? Like, do we want to be a side that's playing out from the back and keeping possession? If so,
Not playing out
you
from
look,
the. I don't think we're not going to be playing out from the back team.
I understand that, but I'm also interested to see how we're going to be looking to set up based off the signings that we make. Like if you make a signing of Nathan Paul,
Right.
I'm not going to assume that we're going to be a possession based team. We're more going to be a sort of just throw shit at the wall and just you're looking for good physical bodies that can just help out when shit eventually hits the fan.
Yeah.
When you're looking at guys like Josh Laws, well, if you are looking at guys like Josh Laws, which evidently we were at one point
We were
last season,
Yeah.
then you look to, okay, so maybe we are looking to transition to a side that's going to focus on playing out from the back. But then we go and sign Scott Wooten. So I don't really know. And then you sign attacking wing back Sam Sutton, but then you seemingly concede to the fact that Risdon and Osler are going to be your fullback on the right side.
I think there's no use in sort of trying to figure out what we're going to look like stylistically next season until we see a little bit more movement
For sure.
with the squad.
I just hope there is we have
I
something
think
stylistically.
we'll put it this way. I think we'll get a much clearer picture of things for when to move on with our friendly against AC Milan.
That's not for a while though.
But July 31st, you would think we would have close to 100%
All
of
the
our
business should be
signings
done.
done.
All the business
all
should
our
be done.
business, unless you got one good visa, should all be done by then.
Yeah.
I will just say this now. All of our signings should be done realistically. I'd say ideally by June 1st. We should have it locked in.
Sorry,
I'm not saying
June or July.
No, I'm saying I want majority of our business. Like I want us to have our deals locked in for players by June 1st.
Bruh, the season's still going.
I'm aware. I'm not saying announced. I'm saying they need to get. We've already completed deal. Well, I say completed. It hasn't been announced, but we've most likely done deals for Sam Sutton, Scott Wooten, and Callum Timmins. Right. And Mark Birighitti. You are missing four positions, which is a strike partner. Well, a strike understudy, essentially for tags. A cam, a left winger, a right back, centre back. Right?
Yeah.
Centre back you don't need unless, if Labib is staying. So figure that out.
Yeah.
Right back, there's plenty of good options that you can realistically sell the project to early enough to be able to get them in early and get a full preseason going to fix our defensive structure. Midfield is done. You don't need to touch the midfield. No. The cam and the left winger, I will admit, if you are going foreign, obviously you can't get that done by June 1st. So then you set the target of July. But I'm saying for any Aussie signings that we're looking to make, or any sort of future plan for squad building, has to be done early.
I'd say July. Get them in by July. The Aussies
but Aussies have to be
the visas take longer.
Yeah,
naturally.
obviously.
But I think it'll be interesting to see what our squad looks like for the Milan game.
Yeah.
So on that note, may as well wrap it up.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into episode 35 of the Glory Days podcast. This will probably be our last one for a bit.
Yeah.
Next episode when we come back, when's the next Oz Cup round? Not for ages.
Not for ages.
Not for a long
Next
time.
episode that when
Might
we
get
come
more
back,
transfers or whatever.
yeah. Next episode
It'll
when
be
we
a
come
short
back,
one.
maybe we'll do like a little review of the A-League finals, and it'll probably be a bit more of a sort of transfer special when more stuff goes down.
Yeah.
But just keep your eyes on our Twitter and
Our
maybe,
socials.
yeah, just keep your eyes on the socials, mainly the Twitter. We'll
There
put
may
out
be-
any
there may be
updates we
news.
can.
There may be news.
Well, if there's
Sorry.
anything major, we'll make sure that we come back with an episode to give our thoughts. But if it is just more run-of-the-mill signings, departures,
see.
stuff like that, we'll probably be back in a couple of weeks. But we'd like to give a massive thank you to all of you guys out there, especially, to the fans of all the players.
Yeah.
So the
Families.
the families of all the
Yeah.
players that have reached out to us and said that you've really enjoyed our content. We're very happy that we've managed to, reach this level where we're actually, sort of having, I wouldn't say an impact, but leaving an
People
impression.
have a look because we've got views. We get
We'll have
people
a look.
listen and watch us on either Spotify and YouTube.
Yeah.
And we've got loads of listens on our Spotify with some people listening all the way from Ireland.
Yeah, which is
So-
absolutely insane, by the way.
so-
I don't know why you're wasting your time.
Yeah, well, hopefully, like we said at the back end of last season, after that diabolical shit fest that was the 23-24 season, hopefully this season coming up will be better.
23-24, yeah.
Absolutely.
23-24, that season was shit. This season was just as
As in
shit.
last season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was
it
like,
is.
But
So hopefully
look, that-
25-26 will be
Yeah.
a better
Well,
season.
realistically,
And not a wooden spoon.
this Mariners game was technically the last game of the season.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Before it ticks over.
Yep.
So I guess we should just say now, thank you for all the support across the season.
Cheers,
It's been
guys.
a wild ride. It has been absolutely shit. Hopefully it'll be better next season. But until then, we've been the Glory Days podcast.
Cringe.
And
Put your hand down.
fuck James Renton and Ben Callahan. Catch us later.
okay.